Hi, James's Video Diary. Today is January 25th, 2026. Last week I had a bit of a rough week from Wednesday on. A lot of it was just compounding events that I had no control over. I am progressing though. I've known my SI has gone away here. It's went back to being dormant, very close. The anger that once ruled my life for almost 20 years, and being tortured will do that to you. At least it did it to me. That's gone. I paid off my overpaid Social Security, and my debts are pretty minimal. I still have a couple, not many. I need to get a new car. The $800 car 4 years ago, almost 5. It's starting to exceed my ability to maintain it. It has lasted a lot longer than a lot of them. Might be just because of the patience I now have. I don't have the tools I once did. I'd love to have those back. I know that other than an act of divine intervention, I'm not going to get that. I'm currently living homeless in a semi. Not that I'm ungrateful. I'm very grateful. They keep me in a semi. I'm living in a sleeper. I'm generally back in Michigan, at least for a couple of days a week, 30 or 40 hours. Grateful my car started, despite its latest breakdown, but it's going to have to be warmer before I can at least get that back together. I'm carrying more money in my pocket than I've ever had that hasn't been earmarked for anything. Granted, I don't have recurring bills like rent and that sort of thing yet. I'm sure it'll come back. I'm sure at some point I'll have to settle down. It's not that I don't want to, and I've been trying for over 30 years. Since I was 17, made the deal with my baby mom. I've been trying to make the same deal with a lot of other people. Issue is that my first person I tried that with was Sarah Amakala from Boise. And she didn't take it as a business deal. No, I did. But I learned a lot about paper trail from that. Got convicted of stalking. When it was her breach of contract caused a lot of events in my life to go wrong. If I'd have known then what I know now, I wouldn't have contracted her. No way in hell. And once you breach a contract, I walk away, and it doesn't matter what you say at that point. I mean, you breach a contract. There's a lot where over the last 30 years, I've made about 6 mistakes. And I'm guessing around 4,000 women. About 4,000 women. And I think I've made 6 mistakes as I go along. I can guarantee you that behavior never lies. It simply don't. People lie all day long. They define words differently. The definition of words when I was growing up was the same, no matter who used them. As I become an adult, the level of words and their definition completely radically changed based on who was using them. The behavior behind it. They take my support system, for instance. If it was truly my support system, they wouldn't have just tried to bleed me dry. They would have said, yeah, you're right. She committed fraud. Now let's get you a lawyer. Let's get this right. Because we can't teach a kid that it's okay to torture the hell out of you, piss you off, make you mean, and then weaponize the fact that you're mean because they haven't been punished for what they've done. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd say it's like physics. It really is. It's physics doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're a good person or a bad person. Man, woman, transgender. Doesn't matter if you're blue or an alien. Now maybe they got a few more tricks to. The laws of physics are slightly different there, but last 30 years they haven't been that much different. Everybody sees potential in me, sees how powerful I am. The issue is they want to screw me over rather than being a supporting member of that power. And in that way, as they lift me up, I pull them out. I'm not afraid of building. I just don't want to build for somebody who's literally going to obliterate me. Then make me the bad guy when I explode about it. You know, you poke the bear and you poke the docile bear over and over and over again. Then you bitch when you get claws and teeth and a sinew and the vicious nature that, well, you brought it out, but it's somehow the bear's fault. You know, you pull the trigger on the gun and you're complaining that you got yourself shot. No, I don't. Hey, dumbass, don't point the gun at something you don't want shot. Don't pull the fucking trigger, even if you know it's unloaded. God help me, I had a little trouble there too. But after you do what I do, and you've worked on the premise that I've worked on for the past 30 years, I've operated under the premise of what the publicly available information about Delta Force, not about personal experience. And what I can tell is I wouldn't have made it in, not as an operator. I talk in my sleep, and that's a security risk. I could have been any number of other things supporting them, and I could have learned and trained with them and become a training tool for them. But, you know, it's like trying to get into being a brotherhood of being in the IBEW when I was younger, because I couldn't be a soldier because of my health. You know, and now, yeah, hell, they wouldn't even take me. Not because I wouldn't go. Not because I don't understand the nature of the words duty, honor, and loyalty. Not that I don't know how to salute. Not that valor for me it's not a word I don't understand. It's something I don't generally get. And in many attempts, either I suck at it, or I've been protected somehow, and the transactions just haven't went through. Bad or good. Those 6 mistakes might not have been mistakes. The 4,000 investigations that literally led me to the conclusion that behavior tells a tale. And if you literally want a payout, and I literally have to read from your script, where I'm always the bad guy and you get to do nothing while you don't do anything wrong, regardless to what you actually do. You know, you can't, I guess you can't change the laws of physics. Like these women that tell you, you know, what do you want me to do about it? Well, I don't want you to be a slave. What the hell would you do about it if you aren't Laura Hart, formerly Laura Rick? She tried that not too long ago. And I had to tell her, you know, I love you. And as a man who professes to love you, I can't let you destroy your entire family, everything you've ever worked for, even if this works out, which it has a very low probability at this point. 30 years ago it might have, but you can't have the approach of I'm automatically your slave, because you'll have a debt you never can repay. And do I want to do that? Do I want to torture another way I've been tortured, even if they volunteer? Because there's literally no way they can understand that. Hell, even half the time, I didn't understand it at the time. But in retrospect, you know, these breach of contracts, because I treat a lot of this stuff like a businessman would. Like it's a business contract. And I'm a little bit cold. And over the last 30 years, I've become very bitter and very hardened to the nature of the things that most people would find they're so emotional. It's 22 or 24, 25. My 22-year-old sister came up missing. She just decided to go walk about. No harm came to her, When I got called at work, well, your sister's missing. Yeah, my sister's an adult. I got a family. I got child support. I got to deal with that. I can't go piddly fuck around with my sister when I can't pay for my own family. When I can't build my own thing. How could I possibly deal with it? You know, I'll find my sister when I get off shift 12, 14 hours. I'll go find her. I don't give a fuck. The cops can't find her. Cops ain't looking hard enough. They don't give a fuck. They're only getting to it. They're doing a paid job. They're not trackers. They're not people who have investment in this person. I've had to walk away from her too. I did find her though. Took me all of about 25 minutes on the ride home. I did find her. I went and picked up the folks and said, thought you said they fucking looked here. If they look by the front of the fucking building instead of in the parking lot or in the common areas that are public common gathering areas and didn't see anybody fucking sleeping, Jesus fucking Christ. Be like today. Some of the habits Grandma instilled in me. And that family lore around her actual role biologically. Psychologically, she was my grandmother. Biologically, with the experience I had, I can't honestly tell you. I'd actually have to have DNA of someone else in the family where the lineage is absolutely known. Then play patty cake. Because at some point we would be related on, because parents and grandparents should be the same lineage. At some point, one of the branches in the tree and the roots would literally they would intersect. And even if there were people of living memory about that particular family lore, I wouldn't trust them. Honestly, would I tell my grandkid a lie if the person that knows me as Grandpa? Would I fucking lie to them? You can bet your ass I would. I did when I was in Gaylord working as a janitor. Fucked with the cops and fucked with all these staff members that have all these degrees and all these years of experience. And like, common sense tells me that elementary school education, primary education, literally the words on the wall haven't changed since the days of the president with the tall, really tall top hat, long beard, 7 years ago. Yeah, that guy. They haven't changed. The English language hasn't changed in almost 200 years. He became president in 1863. He's one of the two most famous presidents of how they passed. And it hasn't changed since then. And if you want the ideas of the old, you want the results that came from the old, you gotta use the old results. You gotta use the old methods. It's not that technology's bad, but technology is so pervasive. I've had people say they were watching the kids, and I can literally tell you that I was watching the kids more than they were. And the only way they would have seen a kid get hurt is when they got hit with a body part, a severed body part. At that point, first aid becomes a great deal more difficult. Oh, it's not impossible. And with the training I provided myself, trying to be a soldier, trying to be a first responder, but after my daughter was born, that all went down the toilet. I ended up becoming a mechanic, now a truck driver. I used to be a machine worker. I'm very intelligent, and if I don't have any incentive to build, if the incentive is just to build it so somebody can literally shit it, or I can be abused, and then the anger that comes from that becomes a thing, and I become the bad guy. Why the fuck would I work to be the bad guy? when somebody who's literally a bad guy is shitting all over everybody and crying, "Oh my God, I don't understand." You weaponize your asinine stupidity. You're an adult. You say you're an adult. It's like half these crashes you see today. As a driver, I've seen 4 or 5 of them that were beyond preventable. And the people that did them literally signed pieces of paper, because I have a copy of what every driver must know, and I can apply absolutely everything in that book to a CDL. Now, the truck has some specialty systems, but even a 4-wheeler has to abide by the rules of physics. When you're fucking up, and the problem is you're putting too much power to the road, you let off, and you steer it out. With an automatic, hell yeah. With a stick, it's a little more complicated. And with an automatic, if it becomes that complicated, the solution's the same thing. It's the same thing with the supercar fails. If you ever watch the supercar fails, 85% of the supercar fails are all automatics. And it's because the driver doesn't understand. You disconnect the power from the powertrain to allow your RPMs, because burnouts are fun. But if you don't disconnect the powertrain is still going to work. I mean, it's a machine. It is not adaptive to that way. And if you literally let off, but you've literally put almost 7,000 RPMs into something that should have taken maybe 800, that machine will not recover that fast. That's why they swerve, and because they don't take the power away. There's no clutch pedal. In the old days, the way to make that possible is you hit the clutch pedal. You hit the clutch pedal, you drop it into neutral. That way you don't burn the clutch off. And then you steer out. Same thing with a semi. An automatic, if I have that much of a problem, the one thing they tell you not to do, when you're on 100% 4th and 40, that's what you do. Being smart enough to know that you literally just have to roll it out and steer through it without adding power and without trying to subtract power by braking, by using the tractive force of the Jake. Now on dry pavement, tractive force of the Jake is one of the greatest ways to slow down. Can it be overdriven? Yes. I know. I've done it. I've floated the valves on the vehicle I'm driving. Part of the reason the maintenance had to be done the way it did. And that was my learning experience. I don't drive new trucks. I drive old ones. One of the reasons is they got some road rash. And they've got wear. And the fact that I'm almost a rookie, I drive 4-wheelers old because, well, I was dealing with people who literally would take all the money and say, well, if you got the money to make the payments on this new car, you can pay me more. Well, if I pay you more, I don't have money for the damn car payments or the car insurance. You don't understand the concept that, a lot of them don't get, if this happens, then this happens, then that happens. And if somebody's completely responsible for their shit, you're literally ganking them. Then you're crying because they're getting mad about it. Because you want nice shit and you just shit through everything. You just destroy all the money, you spend it, you waste it on things that you're not transparent. You get defensive. Hell, at McDonald's, when I worked at McDonald's after Lear, doing dishes, it was one of the moments that literally changed a lot of their minds as to how a part-time crewman could override a manager, the general manager of the store. Oh my God, aren't you offended? Fast as I'm washing the dishes, the amount of dishes I have and the amount of fast as I'm doing it, am I going to be offended? Hell no. I'm bound to miss things. And the methods I'm using, I'm using the method that for me makes the most sense. It's the most industrial method, it's the most quick method, and I'm going to miss things. And I'm going to use the sanitizing factor of the soaps and other sanitizing materials that are on all of these and everything, food service wise. I'm going to use the heat. I'm going to use the pressure of the water. Now, whether that's cleaning the grill, cleaning light fixtures overhead. And yeah, I did that. If I have to buy something special to clean through years and years and years of grease where the water has been removed, I do it. Now, I do it in a hypoallergenic way, in a way that, for me, makes so much sense that if you literally can eat where I'm at, or you can work in where I'm at, you literally ain't allergic. I know you ain't allergic. At Lear, when I was a janitor there, they said, how do you know they're not allergic? I'm okay. Well, we go into that meeting. I'm going to ask a few questions myself, because the safety is going to have the same questions. Are you complaining you didn't get metal chips and tailings and all the things that run through this shop? And if you think of something there, okay, how do you get? Where did you get your affected area? I mean, if you got it in your no-no squares, things that are supposed to be covered by clothing, pretty everywhere, and you don't have metal tailings in your body, metal slivers, I mean, A, that's a win. B, garbage cans, for instance. I had to break it down and say, okay, why did you take a big bag of stinky garbage out of the garbage can? Why did you then get naked to get a part of your skin to literally touch anything I've touched with anything that was either on or off sides? Why did you literally get naked and wiggle in the garbage can? Then you got redressed. That makes sense. Then, instead of getting a new garbage bag, calling me to get a new garbage bag, you literally put the big bag of stinky garbage back in the can. You literally rolled on the floor after you got naked. You're not complaining about metal shavings or tailings or any of that, because they're pervasive all over the entirety of the shop. You're complaining about what I used on the floor, but you've got it in places that literally should never have been exposed. Even in the bathroom, there's certain places of the no-no square that literally should be free of touching any surface that has been cleaned by man. I mean, the toilet paper, I can't do anything about toilet paper. I didn't clean the toilet paper. In order for you to use the bathroom in the toilet and bathroom, the toilet has a seat that's got a big hole because you need a way to get it out. What you're doing in the toilet. So literally, yeah, you can have a few things down the cheeks and down your thighs, but I didn't use anything off sides there for that reason. But if you did it on the floor, we then have to ask why you got naked, why you got rolled on the floor in the middle of an industrial plant during the middle of production hours with all the other nasty chemicals that are on the floor, from the A-coat process, from the paintings, from the pipe soldering stuff. That plant was old, and it had material in there that was banned in 1985 that should have fell out of use in 1985, and it still had 20-30 rolls of stuff that was brand new, never been touched. Well, as I know that, I grew up around a lot of tradesmen. How do you think I learned how they do half the things I know how to do? How do you think I know how to be a businessman? Me being a little cold, well, yeah, a little bit OCD, a little bit moving around. One of the worst parts about job jumping is I got to build all these relationships again. I need to rattle the cage and find out who's who. I was racially discriminated against at Lear of Roscommon. That's why I left. I was discriminated by the union. I mean, HR didn't. I brought the ground, and they didn't tell management, keep these motherfuckers separate. They're two different colors, and this guy's already having problems. You can't move this guy because he's going to be a whiny little bitch. You can't move that guy because of performance. But that guy will perform wherever you put him. He'll do things that we're not supposed to know we can. Most of these guys that are paid as more highly than he is, he can outdo the engineering department. He can outdo them stage 1 and stage 2 machine repairmen. A little bit of brush up on some of his PLC ladder logic that he never had to learn. I'll bet he can outdo these guys. Even though he's fat and out of shape, when he's having problems, because not one person was feeding him. I had 3 people feeding me flooring to put it down. And because I had the tools, because I knew what the hell I was doing, because I've laid floor tiles before, safety mat. I looked at the problem, goes, that's the wrong tool, this is the right tool. So I went out and bought one on the way to work in one day. Because if that's what I'm going to do, I want my effort to go bang, 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 bang. I can get the hell out of Dodge, I can move on to the next thing. I'm the guy that if you call and have a problem, you can't find a material, you call me. Give me the problem, I'll walk around the plant 20, 30 minutes after the shift. I'll find what you're looking for. If it's present, it'll be standing in the corner of one of another department. And because I knew all the other departments well enough to be able to go in and, I need to go clean this, or I need to clean that, or I need the expertise that you have to use the tools of your department. I need your permission in case I fuck up. I need first aid. I don't bleed out on the damn floor. You're my backup. Granted, it never happened that way, just due to the nature of... I had the Brothers Grimm training from guys from World War II, Korea, Vietnam. Those were the guys that trained me, and they were not participation trophy fuckers. Not the guys of today, not the guys after me. These were the Brothers Grimm boys. These are the guys that would literally tell it to you brutal and vicious. They wouldn't do it because they wanted to hurt you. They wanted to know that when you did something stupid, you might lose fingers. Hell, when I was in middle school, the shop had half a dozen of my classmates lose their fingers. They literally were told, this machine was left over from World War II. So it may take a minute to get going. But once it gets going, you can literally shove a body through it, a frozen body. You can shove steel through this wood saw. And I mean, I don't mean a little tiny piece. I mean, you can shove a 6x6 solid hardened steel through it, and it'll just eat it. And, people didn't pay any attention. Some of the industrial equipment they had back in the day. Hell, when I went to high school, they had an actual human skeleton that was left over from World War II. They got one somehow from a medical area. But back when high school was built in 1941, that was available. Guns were in school because they had a shooting range. Now, it had been closed since like the 1960s, but yeah, they had one at one point. It's there. It's concreted off like the catacombs for the nuclear bomb shelters, but they're there. The high school has changed ownership, but the building is still present. It has had a few security upgrades and modified parking and that sort of thing, but mostly superfluous BS. Most of the structure is the same. The structure of the school pretty much has been the same since 1942. Since like World War II. So trust me, I had to learn the hard way. One of the reasons I do business the way I did, and do a lot of these things that way, is that the people that trained me all told me, follow the money. An unfunded priority is not a priority. And of late, I'm getting updates on misquoted sayings. And I can see how they've been manipulated and why the quote has been altered. I've also known that a lot of people don't have a lot of what they claim they do. Or they only barely have enough that they can barely qualify. They're not people that can literally pick them in a conversation with words. They don't look at architecture and go, damn, that was built in the late 30s, early 40s. That's built in the 60s based on the building materials. And this was put on in the 80s. In a lot of places I've been in, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, New Jersey, Maryland, Chicago, even out into Texas. You can look at them. Same thing with all the main streets. Hell, even the main street in Saginaw, the nearest city, one of the nearest cities. Hell, downtown, they're tearing this shit down that has been vacant for almost 40 years. Nobody wants to sink any effort into it. So it's literally became disrepair. Same thing with the city itself. I mean, if you go to other places in the county, like Franklin, with its heavy tourism, that they've already got systems that if you use these systems, yeah, you can do some really dumb shit, and you'll get away with it. Now, if you do really, really dumb shit, and you get caught doing it, by not taking advantage of the systems in place to let you do that for tourism's sake, yeah, you're gonna pay a big fine. But if you went through Saginaw, when I grew up, the areas I grew up, in the areas today, houses are missing, thousands of them. You can literally see burnouts rampant. One of the last places I went, Baltimore, in the big suburbs of that. Some of them are slums. You go down there in the row housing, it looks the same as it does in the high end, in the Chicago areas, with the exception that it's like burnt out. They didn't put any effort into it. They got low income in there, and low income doesn't have the IQ and the attitude of investment for payoff. They're just payoff. I'll just take whatever I can get out of it, whatever I got, because somebody else is paying for absolutely everything, and I don't have to do any of the maintenance. I don't have to do any of the upkeep. I don't have to feed my own children. You see that with the EBT card thing. I'm hoping to build forward. I'm going back to look at my other videos. And if you have a problem, comment, or concern, tell me I'm growing. It looks good. Maybe I need to be looking at something a little different, maybe investment. Start looking to try and get myself a place, get a better car, or another, well, at least a conveyance. Doesn't have to be a car, could be a truck, could be an SUV. I'm not asking for opportunity. That comes the other way. This is more technical support and therapy on the run. If you have a problem, comment, or concern, please put it in the comments section. I read them. I look at my view counts. And I certainly appreciate you for being here and being on this journey. I may not be 100% healed, but I am healing. And I am changes here. Learn that with how I handle money. Now I almost never do a pocket change anymore. 18 months ago, that's all I was living on, was pocket change and bottles. Walking around. It's not that I don't do it. I still do it. And I still try and pick up some of that low-hanging fruit. Don't get me wrong, the old habits die hard on that. The low-hanging fruit, man. Hope you have a good one.